Ego and pride. Something everyone has felt but most never get to understand, and even worse, most won't get to master the power of both. So let me give it to you quickly, and then tell you how to use them both the right way to gain more power. But first, you need to know when each one is at play so that you know what is happening at what time. Ego is the I. It's the story you tell yourself. Wanting to collect credit and applause, it lends you courage. You know, that confident feeling. So, it helps you when you need to deal with big, daunting tasks. Your ego is what hypes you up to shoulder tasks that would normally crush the timid. And when present makes you feel like you could take on the world. But that's also its flaw. The curse of ego is that you could become arrogant. It can blind you to correction. Basically, even when you're in the wrong and you know that you're in the wrong, it's your ego that doesn't want you to admit it. It will make you fight a useless battle for no reason other to not break. That's where the term fragile ego comes from. It's not actually when you have a lot of ego, but when you don't have enough pride to back up your ego, making you feel defensive when it's attacked. Speaking of, let's talk about pride. Pride is your standard. What you refuse to be and what you refuse to accept. It seeks dignity, honor, not attention, which most get that part wrong. It's the feeling that comes after you complete a worthy task. It's the weight of your name when you're not in the room. Yet, pride has its own ruin. Once hardened, it also doesn't bow to the truth. It slows your recovery after failure, making you not want to admit it, and that leads to what were meant to be potential lessons turned into injury. Basically, once someone is too prideful, they refuse to lose their shiny self-image. And anything that poses harm to that image becomes their main threat. Even when we all know failure is something we all face and should embrace it because most failures bring lessons to be learned. It's the pride that refuses to admit defeat, and it's because of that your growth gets stuttered. But pride is important. After completing a difficult task, you should give yourself some pride so that your brain knows it's done the right thing and feels rewarded by some dopamine. Which goes on to the big question. How do you use the power of both the right way? Well, since you now know what is at play at what moment, understanding when to use them becomes more easier. When faced with a new or difficult task, let your ego hype you up. Let it give you confidence, this raw feeling that you could take over the world. Once that task is completed, let yourself feel some pride, but do it quietly. Whilst pride is good to have, the moment you start having pride for the applause and attention of others, you start craving attention instead of the growth and process. Always humble yourself when necessary, and understand what is at play so you know how to tune either one down to not limit your own growth. And remember, the biggest flaw to both is when you're wrong, don't be afraid to admit failure. Because no one can actually lose when you realize that every failure you benefit from in the form of a lesson learned. And that's it. It was always about the balance of the two, for you to have enough self-awareness to understand which one is at play and for your cognitive intuition to adjust accordingly. Once you master the two, you'll gain not only the power, but also the skill set required to master them along the way.